So we've been talking about factorizing quadratic trinomials for the last week or two, and we're moving on a bit, and we're now going to be dealing with, before we were dealing with expressions, they didn't have an equal sign. And we got to point out a couple things before we do a couple examples. First thing is equations of this form, ax plus b equals 0, are linear equations. The key, a does not equal 0. So 3x minus 2, we can solve for x easily if we know what a and b are in any case. So, moving a step further, we have this. This is a quadratic. It's the equation of the form ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0, where a does not equal 0. This is a quadratic equation, as I just said. And their interesting thing here is there's 2, 1, or 0 solutions. Now, how is this possible? Well, we'll move this up. They've got a wonderful little chart in the textbook. If you have the equation of this first form, right here, x squared minus 4 equals 0. We can do a little bit of substitution. We know that what a is equal to, we know what c is equal to, and we can solve for x. And then we have it of this form. Again, we can solve for x. There's one solution, or some people would call this 2 equal solutions that we'll discuss later. In this case, x squared plus 4, there are no solutions. We can never make that possible. And again, we're going to get into that as we move through the unit. But this little table is going to be very important to you. Now, quadratics of the form x squared equals k. So, what's happening is we normally have x squared, ax squared plus bx plus c equal to 0. Here, a is equal to 1, b equals 0, and k is equal to negative c. So, that's not really as important as what we're going to get to here. If I were to throw in an example, a couple examples down here, we'll do those as we get through. But you have 3 possibilities. When you solve for x, and you take the square root of it, there's 2 solutions. It can be negative or positive. That's why we have this symbol right here. Plus, minus, square root of k. X can equal 0, or there are no real solutions. No real solutions, that means k is less than 0. How do we know that? There's a negative under the radical. We can't solve for that. So, try a bunch of examples. Here, we're going to take 2x squared plus 1 plus 15. We all love algebra, so we're going to subtract 1. We have 2x squared equals 14. Divide by 2. X squared equals 7. X equals the square root of 7. Now, because x can be positive or negative, we have plus or minus the square root of 7. And that's your solution. Pretty straightforward right now. So now we're going to do a little change here. We have 2 minus 3x squared equals 8. First thing we do, we subtract 2. Negative 3x squared equals 6. Now I have to divide by negative 3. X squared equals negative 2. X equals the square root of negative 2. Here it is. That's where the red flag starts to come up. 0 solutions. Or no real solutions. That's the key, I guess. No real solutions. And why is that? Because we can't take the square root of a negative number. Now, I'm just going to point this out. How did I get from here to here? I subtracted 1. How do they get from here to here? Divided by 2, and then square root both sides. I know how much everybody likes to know what's going on, so we'll double check that. Here, subtract 2. Here, divide negative 3. Get negative 2, and then here to here, square root. Okay, a couple more quick examples and then we're done for this video. Ooh, looks a little bit tougher. We'll start with x minus 3 squared equals 16. Now, because we have to deal with bed mass, we know we have to take care of the exponent before we can do anything with what's in the bracket. So we're going to take the square root of both sides. X minus 3 equals the square root of 16, which is going to be plus or minus 4. So x minus 3 equals plus or minus 4. Add 3 to both sides. X equals plus or minus 4 plus 3. So how do we figure this out? This means we're going to have 2 solutions. This is where it gets a little dicey for some people. What we need to do now is we got to go 2 ways. What happens if x equals positive 4 plus 3? Well, then x equals 7. Or we have x equal to negative 4 plus 3. X will equal negative 1. Again, 2 solutions, 2 possible answers. Okay? Hopefully this is going to make a little sense and we can follow through. As we move through some of this stuff, it'll make even more sense. Okay, now, this is where it's going to get even a little dicier. We have to take the square root of both sides. We have x plus 2 equals square root 11, plus or minus square root 11. But I don't know what the square root 11 is, so I'm going to leave it as a radical. I have to subtract 2 from both sides. Plus or minus square root of 11 minus 2. I will say this, we get a little less work to this question because we don't have to do much because our 2 solutions are going to be x equals positive square root 11 minus 2 or x equals negative square root 11 minus 2. Done. That's it. That's all you do. You leave it as your answer. Again, 2 solutions. So we've had the opportunity here. Every one of these questions has given us 2 solutions. Oh, not every one. We have x equals positive square root 7 or x equals negative square root 7. 2 solutions, no solutions, and in no case have we run into 1 possible solution, but it will happen. And that's it for now.